think we all have to do our best to act in the best interest of the collective, the best interest of the community, the Jewish community, of the best interest of the world. And I think that will lead us in the right direction.
For many people in the world, there is a moment of clarity when you see the world differently than you saw it previously. Those are the moments when we wake up to life. I'm Rabbi Josh Bennett, and this is Waking Up to Life, a podcast about those moments. I'm so excited today to welcome to the show a guest who has been a part of my world for the last few years. He grew up here at Temple Israel and has established more of an adult relationship with me over the last couple of years. Ethan Marcus is a third-year student in the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. This past summer, Ethan had the opportunity to work in New York City in real estate private equity with the idea that hopefully from U of M, he'll go on to a career in real estate investing. Ethan, it is so good to have you on the show.
It's great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
I know that it's a little strange to see me in this setting. You think of me up on the bima, and now I'm behind a microphone in my office. But it's actually great to be able to talk to you. I love our conversations together because we talk about everything from real estate to Jewish life to the world. And I think it's going to be the same today. So, Ethan, you have a story to share. It's sort of your waking up to life moment where you realize that the world is a fairly small place. So share what happened to you this last September.
Yeah, so late September, the Weiser Center for Real Estate at University of Michigan has this real estate conference. And alumni from all around the country come to Ann Arbor for this conference. Thursday night, there was a Meet the Clubs event. So the 4 real estate clubs all gathered in the top floor of the Ross building. And I walk in, it's an open time. And so like you walk in whenever. I walk in maybe a half hour after the official start time. And I see my friends talking to this older gentleman, older as in graduated, alumni. And just joined into the conversation. And he sees my name tag and all of a sudden stops. And he goes, "Oh, are you related to Scott Marcus?" And I go, "Yeah, that's my father." I'd say Dana Lakritz is Dana Lakritz. Now Dana Marcus is also my mother. And well, he went to Andover with them, and he knows the family. And we end up talking. I mean, it was as if the other 3 weren't there, sadly. But we end up talking for about 3 minutes, connecting the dots on how I know him, when he graduated, what I've been up to my whole life, and how my parents are doing. And so the next day, I see him again, and we catch up for a few minutes, nothing crazy, talk about investing. And then it comes to me that I know the name of the company that he works at somehow. And I look up on my phone, how in the world, like how do I know this name? What projects have they done that I might know of? He comes back from lunch with a friend of mine. They're also family friends. And I say, his name is Randy. I go, "Randy, do you know 125? And he goes, "What are you talking about?" I go, 125 Greenwich. It's the development in FIDI in Manhattan. And he goes, "You're joking, right?" And I say, "No, I'm serious. Like, did you work on it? I know your company did the deal. You guys were the lender, and then you converted to equity." He says, "Yes, I worked on it. You've got to be joking. I think you're stalking me." I go, "Randy, I'm not stalking you. I interviewed for the developer." And comes together, the story comes together where he connected the developer with the Weiser Center for Real Estate. The Weiser Center for Real Estate then connected me with the developer. And so Randy, I should give him thanks for me getting my first round interview at this place. I didn't end up interning there, but it was really a full circle moment. It was an odd few days.
It's an amazing story because, first of all, as a non-University of Michigan graduate, this is a classic story for the University of Michigan. This is the University of Michigan networking that makes it so great to be a student there. But it's also, the Jewish world is really small. And was that the first time in your life that you recognized that and sort of felt that in a real way?
I started feeling it a bit over the last year. I've also done some quote-unquote networking on my own, whether it's within the Jewish community, family, friends of mine, cold outreach, just because I'm curious and have questions that I want answered. But I started realizing how small the real estate world is, and within the real estate world, the Jewish community is even smaller. So this kind of put the cherry on top. This was the one moment that I don't think I'll ever forget.
So here you are, student at U of M, trying to figure out what's next in your life. And this event happens, or these two events happen. What is the takeaway, or what did you learn that you really think makes a difference in your life now?
Two things. One thing is the weight that a family name can carry. And I haven't done anything to the name just yet. Hopefully I have the ability to, but I have my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents to thank for this. And I understand I'm incredibly lucky, incredibly fortunate in a material way, perhaps, but I didn't realize until now, or until this moment, how lucky I am to have the name that I do and for it to have the reputation that it does. People tell me all the time, your father's a great guy, your mother's great. I've worked with them doing XYZ, or I've had XYZ experience with them, but this was the moment when I realized how much weight it carried and how much help it will be as I live the rest of my life. The other realization is you never know who you're going to run into, and you should always carry yourself with this in mind.
So both of those things are so powerful. It's hard not to think that we in life stand on the shoulders of the people who came before us, and somehow we carry the weight of that tradition generation to generation. And I also am thinking of this Hebrew phrase, Kol Yisrael Arevim Ze Leze, which means all Israel is somehow responsible for one another, that we as a Jewish people take care of each other. And so it's not only the way we are gifted or bequeathed that historical tradition of our names, of our families, but also the way we as a community really build on our own relationships and sustain one another. So I'm thinking about this as here you're about to go out into the real world. It's not like you don't have to do your own work. You still have to be prepared. You still have to get yourself the place in life where you are worthy of an opportunity. But what do you do now as a about to graduate person from the school? Where do you use this? How do you see this helping you in the long term?
Another really, really good question, which I've thought about a bit indirectly. I like to say I think I'm a pretty lucky person. I think I attribute much of my success to luck. Now, with that, I have to give myself the credit that I've put myself in positions to get lucky. And so waking up on a Friday morning going on a Thursday night when my friends were already out having fun, I put myself in a position to get lucky and meet Randy. I wasn't required to go to this thing. And so, again, a lot of the success I think in life is luck, but you have to put yourself in a position to get lucky. And so that is exactly what I plan to continue doing. I'm going to continue putting myself in rooms with people who I want to get to know, who I want to speak to, who I want to experience the world with, and who I think I have things to learn from. With that, I think hopefully my last name is recognized, and it then comes full circle, and I have another Randy moment. But
there's also pressure. There's the other side of the same coin, which is, on the one hand, you have the blessing of your name, of your family tradition. And on the other hand, you have to uphold that name. And I'm wondering, are you worried at all about your carrying that to the next step? And then the obvious next question, or the next step of this, is, are we as a Jewish community burdened? People already think about us that we control the media, that we control real estate and finance and Hollywood. So do we have to act differently because you're a Marcus or because we're Jews? And, as a young man about to go out into the world, where does that land on you?
This is a tough one. For the first part of the question, I think yes and no. I think we all make poor decisions in life. We've all made mistakes. And when I make a poor decision and I realize it was a poor decision, I think about the future. I think about what will happen next. How can I right the wrong? Not only for my own sake, but for my family's sake and for my family's reputation's sake. So I think it's important to keep this in mind when making decisions, whether conscious or subconscious. It's always important to remember, because me as an individual, I'm not always the one who's bearing the burden, or the one who might be punished for my actions. It's those around me who are also punished, who also bear the burden. Now, speaking as a Jew, I can't speak for every Jew. I can speak for myself and attempt to speak for the community in a way, from my 20-year-old perspective. I think we all have to do our best to act in the best interest of the collective, the best interest of the community, the Jewish community, of the best interest of the world, the Metro Detroit community, for example, both Jews and those who are not Jewish. And I think that will lead us in the right direction. Of course, it's a part of our culture to support each other. For example, in real estate, to do deals together. I mean, you do business and you do deals with people who you are friends with, and vice versa. You're friends with people who you do deals with. Now, I think if we just act as a collective, not like take religion out of the picture, take skin color, orientation, et cetera, out of the picture. If we just act in the best interest of the collective, I don't think there would be many issues.
So on the one hand, you're saying, yes, we have to be better than. And on the other hand, if we all just were better than, it would be a way better place to live, work, and spend time with others.
I think that's a nice synthesized way to put it.
So you mentioned earlier that you've made mistakes. We've all made mistakes. You're only 20. Looking back, I'm not asking you to tell the story of something real where you made a mistake, either with your family or with friends, but is there a global something that you regret looking back into your earlier life?
I think it's not necessarily a moment, but I think maybe a particular way that I might have treated a particular individual or a group of individuals. I mean, we've all, in middle school, for example, there were those who picked on me, and then I would then pass it down and pick on others. It's kind of like a circle, a cycle. We all know how this works. Those who have had middle schoolers have seen it. Those who have been in middle school, of course, have seen it. I think I wish I would have stopped the cycle. I wish I would have taken it, but not dished it down the ladder necessarily, for lack of a better way to put it. So that's something that I always think about. Don't be that middle schooler.
I'm in exactly the same place. We could write a book about this new concept called the middle school philosophy, or in your world, it's the fraternity phenomenon where one pledge class gets subsequently worse behavior from their senior members of the fraternity because it happened to me, I'm going to make it worse for the next guy. It would be better. I think in my life, my regret, I don't regret anything that I've done. I don't think I've made lots of mistakes. I don't really look back and regret those decisions. What I do look back and wish I could change is very similar. I wish I hadn't judged other people so often and so deeply, because I'd like to go back and find all those people that I bullied or were around me that I just didn't talk to and say, what could I learn to you? And it actually brings me exactly back to your point today with your story, which is everybody has something to teach us. Everybody has something to give to us. In fact, it's the whole purpose of this podcast. Everybody has something to learn. And you're no different. Even at 20, you've already started to sort of figure that out for your future. So I guess my next question is, what does this mean? How can you share this with other people? How can you do your part to make sure other people learn the story?
So pertaining to how we carry ourselves, how our actions affect our future and our family's future, our name's future. And then also stopping the cycle, like I had mentioned, the cycle of getting picked on and then picking on others. It can be carried to many other ways of life. And so I think stopping the cycle is kind of the big one. I think if we we're treated a certain way, we don't need to necessarily, or we shouldn't pass that on just because we were picked on. And so I think it's kind of the same principle, going back to the name idea, the how we carry ourselves idea.
And it's a conscious decision that you are making every single day.
I try.
It's so important for my listeners today to really hear that message. If only we would take responsibility for ourselves, that is a natural way of taking care of people around us. And stopping that cycle of challenging behaviors is exactly the way for us to create a better world, a better business world, better families, better fraternities, quite frankly. And I'm just so thankful for you in this moment sharing that lesson with me.
Happy to do it, and I'm thankful to be here.
So at the end of my podcast, I ask all of my guests a little bit of a surprise question. I don't know if you've listened to any of the episodes, but I'm just wondering, is there something that you're watching, something that you're reading right now that is changing the way you see the world?
I have heard this question. I had a feeling it was coming, but I don't have a scripted answer. I'm watching two things. One, actually both very serious. One, the Lions. My grandfather has spoke about the Lions my whole life, Barry Lakritz, and we just around Thanksgiving we all sit down after the Lions lose, after we go to the game on Thanksgiving Day, and here we've got another Thanksgiving and the Lions did not win. Well, I think this Thanksgiving might be different, so I'm watching the Lions very closely with my family. The other thing is how the world is changing over the next 2-3 months. I hope it's changing for the better. There's only so much that us as individuals from Metro Detroit can do to make a difference. But I think we have to accept and hope for the future.
I have to respond to both. First of all, the Lions absolutely will, by the time this podcast airs, which will be after Thanksgiving, will have won that game. That's a prediction.
Knock on wood.
The other thing is a perfect ending to the podcast, because if, when this podcast airs, we have already made a transition to a new administration in Washington, we with your message in our hearts, will make this world a better place by just being the best versions of ourselves and carrying on the traditions that we've been given by generations who came before us. There is no better answer for the future of America and the Jewish people. Ethan, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a real pleasure, as always, to hang out with you and to learn with you. I'm really excited for you to come back at some point and share with us where this has taken you in your career.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
So for all of you who are listening, I hope that today's conversation has given you a little bit of insight about your own life. And until next time, continue to wake up to life.